Hey everybody, it is Justin, your guide into the other side. So I wanted to bring you an update from the Otherside Wiki. We have a new feature we have a new page essentially. We have the Legends of the Mara game guide, basically completely overhauled the Legends of the Mara information page. And there's now a full game guide with all the information we currently know about Legends of the Mara. And of course, it's going to update as it develops. So if we missed anything, feel free to give us any feedback in Discord. So many thanks to Sneaky Sewol, who recently joined the team and helped us a lot with the creation of this guide. So extreme thanks to the super well-made and comprehensive information inside of this guide that we'll actually take a look at right now. Just kind of blitz through it and kind of see everything we need to know. So again, Otherside Wiki, the key to the metaverse of the Otherside, Legends of Mara, etc., etc. So if you want to find the game guide, I would go to the Otherside tab here. And we can go scroll over at Legends of the Mara. This page will bring us to the landing page for the new game guide, right? And this will kind of show you everything you need to know about Legends of the Mara thus far, kind of what it is. This is just the introduction, so by all means, it has the gameplay trailer. It just has what the open beta is, what we're going to be doing. But I do want to segue. You can kind of take a look at the side here. There are the basics here. There are the gameplay, and then there's a toolbox of things you can reference in order to best play the game and figure out what's going on with the stuff that you have. So again, if we drop into other deeds, this kind of gives us a good breakdown of what other deeds are, your ticket into Legends of the Mara, as well as Otherside. So again, it kind of gives us a breakdown of what the OG collection is. There's two kinds, basically: the original collection that isn't decoupled, and then other deed expanded, which is the land itself, and then there's the vessels. If you choose to decouple, and then if it has a code on it, it will come with the coda. So by all means, just read through this. Feel free to kind of go through the definitions and refresh your memory if you need it. But it kind of goes through the sediment and environment types. So this tab is really useful for environments because it kind of tells you your work. Environments are important because it tells you your worker capacity for other deeds, right? So environment tier 1, you have 1 Oda, you have 3 enchanters. The number of enchanters per deed is 3 across all of them. You can kind of see the environment tiers and the number of Odas you can have in terms of workers, whether they're hunters or farmers. And then you can also kind of see this beautiful overview of all the backgrounds inside of Legends of the Mara for, all the biomes and environments: acid, biolume, bog, mystic, mycelium. And you can basically kind of click on them. Excuse me. And it'll just bring up this really nice background that you can just pull and just use as your background, or anything you want to use. Really nice infographic here, really nice layout. So again, moving on to sediment types, this kind of gives you the role of what sediment does in Legends of the Mara. From the tier, the difference in base production per 24 hours and the base speed, and how you can basically farm it with farmers, and how that is kind of impacted over time. You can also see the sediment fragment types here, as well as an overview of the total supply inside of Legends of the Mara. Season 1, you can kind of see the supply here for biogenic all the way down to Rainbow Atmos. You can kind of see that the supply has kind of increased over time. With Season 2, we have a little bit of a rebalancing. We have more sediment fragments to farm since, the season is actually a lot longer. So that kind of makes sense. I guess we'll have to see how Season 3 and Season 4 pan out as we get closer to end of February. But again, why don't we move on to Mist? So again, this is a little bit of a shorter page. This kind of shows us the in-game currency for, how we can use Mist inside of Legends of the Mara to, refresh our abilities, do all that stuff. You can kind of also see the conversion rate here. 1 Mist is about 1 cent. You can kind of see the conversion rate of ApeCoin to, price of ApeCoin here too. So not too much explained for Mist. If we move on to Odas, this is a really important section of the game guide, right? So what are Odas used for? You can use them for farming, hunting, enchanting. Again, what are Odas? What do they do? Farmers activate your fragment production. What do hunters do? They activate fighting against shattered, right? They have DPS. They all have different abilities. They all have different, Odas statistics, right? You can kind of see the DPS over time. You can also see the damage boost, the speed boost, the farming, values across, common, rarity, up until legendary for the Maras. And then you can also see the jump to the Kotas as well, right? You can kind of see the difference between what a Kota can do for DPS, as well as its boost, across regulars, weapons, and megas. And then you can also kind of I'm sure this will get updated with all of the information with regards to Kotomaras here, because, as we already stated, there's a big jump between regular legendary Maras and base Kotas. So that's going to be something to take a look out for. I'm sure this will get updated when that comes around. So let's actually drop over to Kotas. What are Kotas? What the F is a Kota, right? And they're the primary keepers of Otherside, right? They have the natural ability to do all the things at once. Well, they're able to do farming, hunting, or enchanting, but only one at any given specific period of time, depending on what you want it to do for you, right? And you kind of see, if they got weapons too. There's a bunch of weapons. You can kind of see what the basic, you can kind of see what the weapons do. They have 1 of 4 possible abilities with varying damage. There's the explosion, there's the blood explosion, there's the cursed armament, there's the venomous blades, and they all do different things, especially depending on what you want to use them for and what they synergize well with. So you have to read through those and kind of figure out how that will work there. So if we keep moving on, the vessel page is really nice too, because you can kind of see, hey, if you're just starting out, hey, I have a vessel. How do I nest that? What do I have to do, right? And it'll kind of give you, hey, this is how you do it. So, if you want to hatch your vessel, you can nest your vessel on your Otherside Expand It. It'll take about 7 days. You can also opt to pay to, hatch it, but personally, it's probably just easier to just wait. So again, that's just kind of vessels. If we go over to Mara's, this page is also pretty important because it kind of shows you, what are Maras, right? They're hatched vessel Odas that haven't evolved yet into Kota Maras, right? They can only do one task. Kind of shows you everything what they can do basically. Pretty basic stuff. Definitely worth a read to take a look through. But a really interesting segment here is the Kota Maras, because I know a lot of people are going to be really interested in evolving their Maras via the catalysis fusion process into a Kota Mara. So how is that going to work, right? So when a Mara ingests a catalyst and some optional sediment fragments, so it's important to, get a catalyst. It's probably going to be important to add in the optional sediment fragments. Excuse me. And basically we know that the sediment, the catalyst will, take on the physical traits of, Okay, I'm just going to go to the chart because it's really easy to see it here. So if you want to make a Kota Mara, you have to have a Mara and, a seasonal catalyst here. This one is called Vivek, right? And the optional sediment, we don't necessarily know what this will do yet. I personally think it might have an impact on the base stats when it evolves into a Kota Mara, but that's yet to be seen, but we'll see. So again, you just need a Mara, you need a seasonal catalyst, and basically we'll just combine them and it'll become a Kota Mara. We'll probably have to do a smart contract interaction, but that's for a later time. So let's drop over to catalysts. How do we get them, right? What are we going to do? So in season 2, the creation season, there are 6 kinds of catalysts, right? And the distribution of the catalysts varies in the ranking of the shattered mode of the individual environment levels, right? So again, we can kind of see there's Vivek, Anthony, Leo, Chomp, Jules, Hybar, and they all have a set of visual base traits. So again, when you eat them, they can evolve into a very specific aesthetic that you're trying to target. So again, personally, I like the Hunter Viveks. I think the Viveks are clean, they look really good. I think the base 3 look really good. Vivek, Anthony, Leo, and then these ones have a lot more going on. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot more variation than just this. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be interesting to see how things move on from here. So also, if you have friends, right, this is going to be a really important thing to take a look through. You can kind of drag through and kind of see through all of them. There's, Mutant Hounds, Meebits, Rengas, World of Women, 10KTF, especially since we're going to get the Grailed collection pretty soon here, I hope. There's also Cryptodes, Forgotten Runes, Heavy Metal, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's also Bored Apes and Mutant Apes. I think we'll probably have to get that added. But again, as we know what friends do, I'm sure we'll add more information here, but basically they're partner NFTs that can become playable teammates, capable of aiding you inside of the fight against the Shattered, whether that's DPS or, tanking or some other type of ability. We don't necessarily know yet. So we'll have to see. And again, they add to your hunters without taking up a roster slot. So you don't have to worry about, wasting or I guess using a slot for that. So anyways, again, partner collections. We're currently aware of the Bored Apes, the Mutant Apes. Okay, yes, we're waiting for more partner collections if there are any more. I'm sure there are. That will be interesting too. So that just kind of covers the basics. Let's move on to gameplay. So this is a little bit more of we're trying to blitz through this as fast as possible, guys. I'm trying to make this a relatively short and concise video, but there's just honestly so much information. That's why I created the YouTube in the first place, is just to break it down one by one instead of, trying to blitz through everything in like a 10-minute video, because we're going pretty fast. So this is where you start your adventure in the camp, right? So basically, this is where your Other D Expanded comes to life as a unique interactable playing card. So you can access your camp, at the camp, right? And it basically, this is, oh my gosh, where do I even begin here? So we can kind of see our camp here. This particular holder has a ton of fragments and a lot of stuff to work with. I think this might be Agora. But again, you can kind of see the card view, everything about the cards inside of Legends of Mara, their slots, what they do, right? This is the vessel slot. This is your Other D and its number. This is the farmer and hunter slot. And then you can kind of see what your environment, your biome is, along with the stats. There's also the enchanter slots at the very bottom here. There's a fragment type, there's a harvest all button, and then there's the go to the shattered gameplay part button here. So also camp strategy. In the camp, you can choose to hunt shattered, farm fragments, or do both at the same time, depending on, if you have enough slots to do all those things, right? So again, hunting requires you to have a hunter. Maras, Kotamaras, or Kotas can be placed on your Other deed, and once you have assigned any hunter, you can launch Shattered mode and activate abilities to further increase your damage. And we can kind of see the bosses here from Sidian, Thrash, Caviar, Barrel, and Rom. So again, hunting will enable the Shattered screen and allowing you to use your abilities and stack for a combo to defeat your Shattered. So again, you might have to, use that calculator down here. Legends of Mara Wizard will open that in just a second. Just kind of, I already have a video on it. Anyways, I'm going too deep into the weeds, guys. So if you're farming, you're going to need a farmer, Mara, Kotamara, or Kota for farming if you decide to do that. Again, farming is passive, so you don't need to do anything once your team is set. Kind of goes over how to farm as well. So if we go deeper into farming, the farming section kind of shows you how to, what farming could look like for you, along with it kind of has a breakdown of the UI at the very bottom. So you can kind of see your fragments, your sediment tier, and the production base rate based off your sediment tier. So it'll basically kind of show you, hey, this is how much you're going to be able to produce. And then, is there a production bonus if you have, farmer, Odas, and then, if you have enchanters, it'll increase the speed, right? So again, there's a maximum level of 75% for the enchanters. So again, I know it's a little bit difficult to explain, but once you jiggle around and place things, it'll make a lot more sense. I promise. So let's move on to Shattered. This part gets a little bit thick. So this is the fun part. This is where a lot of strategy will come into play, especially when you're figuring out like synergistic abilities and fighting Shattered bosses. But this is just kind of going over the Shattered types, right? Depending on the environment tier, the total number of Shattered and the HP of the individual Shattered are different, right? So the higher the tier, the more Shattered to kill and the higher HP it has, right? So tier 1 has a total of 2, while tier 5 has 5. And there's a really nice breakdown of the Shattered HP as well as how many there are on what environment tier, right? So if you take a look here for the environment tier 1, you can kind of see the HP for the Sidian, right? You can also see the HP for the Thrash, and you can see that it only goes up to 2, whereas environment tier 2 goes up to 3, environment tier 3 goes up to 4, 4 of the bosses, and then environment tier 4 and tier 5 have 5 bosses with a lot of varying, HP pools that are different, right? So the jump between tier 4 and tier 5 is massive, right? The HP kind of like doubles, which is kind of crazy. So I'm assuming it'll probably be easier to, anyways, I'm not going to go deep into the weeds, but yeah, you can figure out everything about Shattered on the Shattered section, right? So let's talk about strategy. Right? So efficiency is key. We're all trying to get those master chests as quickly as possible, and some of us are trying to get onto the leaderboard, right, for those seasonal catalysts, right? So again, to defeat Shattered requires using ability from all Oda equally. So to defeat a Shattered, it's critical to build a team with complementing abilities and weapon procs, right? So you can kind of get a breakdown of the abilities on the next one, but we'll just kind of read through this page first. So again, there's 4 types of abilities: buffs, debuffs, damage, and procs, right? And these abilities are key to building your combo meter, right? So again, abilities of the same type don't stack damage, but they still contribute to your combo meter, right? So if you, sequentially launch off your abilities, and I guess if you pay an ape to, keep doing that, it's gonna build up this combo meter and deal a lot more damage, right? But only do that if you know what you're kind of doing and you have a strategy and you kind of want to, implement your strategy to get those master chests and possibly leaderboards. So again, active buffs are shown by a green icon next to your Oda, and it kind of just shows you everything from the buffs that you have, the kinds of buffs: attack speed, critical chance, damage buffs, the damage buffs as well, direct explosion proc, blood explosion. There's also debuffs as well as the procs from, there's a lot of stuff, guys, here. I can't necessarily go over everything. It's gonna get crazy. I'm sure I'll revisit this in a more deeper video. But just a brief overview. Let's drop into abilities. This kind of shows you all of the abilities from your Kotas. Each Kotas currently have 2 abilities. Hunter Mars only have 1. The base tier of your Oda determines the strength of the ability, and it kind of goes through everything from attack speed, damage, critical, marked, weakened, direct damage, damage over time, poison. There's a lot of stuff, guys. But what's really nice is that there's this big ability table that you can look at for your Mars from common up until legendary, right? You can kind of see, here's the impact, 15% attack speed, up to 20% attack speed. You can also see the cooldowns as well. Or you can see the cooldowns on the very last end here. You can kind of see how long the ability will last for, right? So again, obviously the Kotas and the Mega Kotas are the strongest, right? And all these things will probably be subject to change as things get rebalanced, updated, etc., etc. But by all means, feel free to take a look here if you want to refresh your memory. So if we move on to loot, right? Loot is this is probably what everybody's trying to hunt for, right? See legendary catalyst on the top of the leaderboard, but that's just top 1, so let's just totally forget that, right? There's also legendary loot from World of Women, Forgotten Runes, Renga, a bunch of stuff, right? See the ship parts. You can kind of see all the ship parts here. You can kind of see the supply of all these things as well. If you click on them, you can kind of see the Dark Alchemist key. You can kind of see who actually owns these, right? Based off of who farmed out the, basically fought out and farmed the master chest, right? So you can also find, really important, you can also find the listed deed that has the loot inside of it, right? So if you want to, kind of speculate on loot, feel free to do it from inside of that. So let's say if I wanted to just find, I know there are a lot of Serum City boxes, right? You can also, if you wanted to pick up Serum City box inside of a deed, you can find it on the lowest listings if you click on the loot page. So really important, really nice to see. You can also see the supply of the loot across, all rarities. So again, there's epic, rare, uncommon, common, across all of the pools. So by all means, if you have some friends, by all means, feel free to pick up some loot and match those up when the friends come into play. But we'll have to see how that goes. So don't dive too deep, guys. So again, that's just kind of our basic blitz of everything inside of Legends of the Mara game guide. This is a really comprehensive update that kind of covers everything inside of, Legends of Mara, Otherside, supply, demand, supply essentially. But again, if you need some help on, how fast am I going to hit how fast am I going to be able to farm? How fast am I going to be able to hunt my shattered? Again, I had a tutorial. I'll try to link it in the description. I had a tutorial on how to use the other deed, Legends of the Mara wizard inside of Otherside Wiki. You can just basically put your deed in, and it'll just calculate. It'll calculate what you have already on it. But again, I'll just keep that for the other video. And again, there's also another video that I did. If you want to rent out anything, feel free to check out the Jarta Finance Otherside renting tutorial. I rented out a weapon Kota for about 2 days. So that was really cool. There's a lot of stuff that you can rent from inside of Jarta's Otherside renting. So feel free to check that out as well. So again, by all means, this has been a really comprehensive guide. I recommend that if you need a refresher on anything, to definitely check out everything that's inside. We're always open to changing that up, especially if we're missing any information too. So definitely hit that like and subscribe button. I hope this video wasn't too long. It's like coming up 20 minutes now. But hit that like, subscribe button. Let us know anything inside of the Discord. All the links will be in the description, along with the tutorial videos if you need to know how to use the the wizard, the Legends of the Mara wizard to calculate how long it takes to kill your shattered, as well as how to use Jarta rentals. But otherwise, thanks to SOL for making an amazing game guide and making it come to life, because the Otherside Wiki is so much better for it. So you guys know where to find me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.